There we go. We're live. Welcome everybody to our regular Tuesday hangout, the Tat Chat. It's number, I can't remember what I put in the title, number something.
113.
113.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of the numbers now.
That is a crazy number. If you're new, welcome to the channel. I'm Nick. I'm here with my good friend Zaheer, and we are going to chat about reselling. That's what we do. We're full-time resellers. If you're a regular, welcome back. I'm just going to pop in the chat in a sec.
Yep.
How are you, Zaheer? How's your day been?
Oh, it's been good today. Yeah, it's been pretty productive for a change.
Nice.
So yeah, I can't complain. Done some listing and some, did a bit of messing around as well. So a bit of everything. So pretty pleased. Lonnie's in the chat as well. So just say hi to Lonnie. Janet Plant, Tap Peddler.
First in was Bumcrack Picker, Peter Ray, a lot of regulars, Richard Payne, Lady Lolly. So welcome one and all. Let me scroll down. Chelsea, hi there, mate. Dr. Doodle Doo.
Yep.
Wow, let me catch up.
Definitely.
Oh, David McMillan. I see David a lot in Stephen Stess chats. Big fan of them. Tracy, yep. Adam. So yeah, welcome. We thought we would just have a bit of a positive vibe today and talk about something positive. There's too much negativity going around about YouTube and Facebook and everything, so we're going to just
just have
a positive spin on things.
What brought us all here, and what reselling, like you said in the title, what has reselling given you, and
what has it given you?
Yeah, it's such a great thing to do actually in itself, is to sometimes take a step back and look at what you have, what you have achieved, and rather than always, because obviously as resellers I think we have a tendency to look at what we're going to do next, and not just as resellers, I suppose as entrepreneurs, even like when you're at home and when you have to come up with your own income, I think that it's only right to say that you do have to have a certain amount of entrepreneurial spirit actually. And I suppose with that comes the fact that you always look ahead, but it's important to sometimes look at what you have already achieved.
I totally agree. I think we can get caught up in everything's got to be bigger, better, faster, more. Whereas sometimes you need to step back and think, actually, I'm doing a job I enjoy. I'm not working for the man. There's so many positives that if you just step back and look at it, it can sometimes ease that pressure of having to be better all the time.
That's so true. I mean, just going into, I suppose, what it's given me. I mean, if forget the sales targets and trying to hit like a whatever £1,000 worth of sales a month. I used to work full time, doing very long hours. Working in retail meant doing very unsociable hours, as you well know, Nick. With the shop, I was on the other side of it. I was an employee, but an employee for a place like Dixon's or Harrods, wherever, meant you would be working, your best days would be the Saturday and Sunday. So you'd be working when all your friends were out, or your family was around. You'd be working, and on top of that, you'd be working really hard on your feet all day, and even the smallest minutiae of your day would be controlled by various levels of management. There'd be an assistant manager, there might be like a department leader, like the most experienced sales guy. So for example, every section, if you worked in the TVs or the PCs, every section would have like an old, like stalwart kind of figure that had been there from back in the day, and whatever. And so you'd have that level. Then you'd have some young guy who was like your assistant manager, and then you'd have like the store management team and all that above you, and you'd have to deal with that, and you'd have to be on your feet all day, and then at the end of it, after a whole month's hard work after tax, I would not be coming home with a lot of money. I really would not be coming home with a lot of money. Obviously, a lot of it was commission dependent. And, I suppose that's where I've mentioned in the past, going full time in a way was easier for me because I'd always earned poor wages. If you have a good job, like if I had like a really good job earning And by a good job, I mean just average minimum wage. You know, the minimum wage is a term that gets bandied around constantly. You know, minimum wage. I would have loved to have earned 28 grand a year, you know, because I didn't anywhere close to it.
Exactly. It's all relative. And yeah, I mean, I think when I first thought of this topic, I tried to think of a word that summed it up. And I think what you just said there kind of sums up the one word that I put down, which is independence. Independence from having to answer to that list of people that you just reeled off, because I had all of that management structure within Virgin, within the police force, for God's sake. Oh my God, talk about management structure and pressure from above. It was all consuming in the police force. You make one error and they're down on you like hawks, rightfully so in that job, I must add. But it was that pressure. And what reselling has given me most is, well, it was two words I came up with, which was independence and freedom. And they mean so much to me. I was reading, and you guys, we're going to throw this out to you as well. You've just heard, our initial thoughts on it. But if you've got some thoughts, and I've seen a few coming in, let us know what reselling has given you. Even the little things. I want to focus on some of the little things as well as the bigger picture. David has just super chatted. Thank you so much, David. You really don't have to, but it is so appreciated. David has super chatted £5. Thank you so much for your continued support.
Definitely, David McMillan. Appreciate that. That's very kind. It's nice. Yeah.
Go on.
I was just going to say it's nice in a way because it's like I suppose a little, appreciation of the, because sometimes you can sit here thinking, God, do we just bore people's socks off week after week, and we just impose ourselves on them. But it's easy to forget actually people willingly participate, and we are really grateful for that. It's
absolutely
although you wouldn't have known it from that message I showed you.
Yeah, I know exactly. We have to stay focused on the people that actually want to consume the content. There are plenty who really don't, and they make it very clear. So that's fine. Yeah, thank you so much, David. I saw a few comments coming in about what reselling has given people. I'm trying to scroll back and find them without missing any. Hold on.
Sure.
Tap Peddler. I'm a part-time reseller, but reselling has given me the security of knowing I'll be fine if my job ended for whatever reason. That's kind of background security in the back of your head, because no job these days is for life. And we live in a society where, I mean, look at recently, on the high street, Mothercare are in trouble, Maplin are in trouble, Toys R Us has just gone under. There's a few other big names that are potentially going. And those people 6 months ago probably thought they had a job for the next 5-10 years.
I think that's an important thing. And in a way, I'm really glad that I did get into this at the time I did, because at the time, I suppose I was working back in when I first started getting my first jobs, etc., in the early 2000s, just breaking of the millennium, as it were. Jobs for life were already not a thing, but they were still pretty stable. Like if you had a job, like you'd expect it to still, even a high street job. The high street was booming at that time. It was completely booming. Like if you look at the high street now versus then, I mean, it's just like people who look at the high street in the 80s and then look at it in the millennium and it had all changed. It's changed that much again. Like the exponential change has happened and it is different. And like now, those jobs themselves, there's no, when people say, oh, get yourself a job and you get that steady income and then you can resell on the side, I often think, what steady income? There's nothing steady about it. You're going to give your time to a company for a set amount of money. Often it's not going to be great money, depending on the kind of job you do. Obviously, if you're educated and you've got certain qualifications, then this isn't me talking to you.
And I think Tap Peddler highlighted exactly what you're saying, that reselling for a lot of people, maybe even the majority of people that follow us and watch us and join in the Facebook groups, they're not full-time, but it gives them is that security of, I've got that as a backup, and if I had to really ramp it up, they know that there's a certain amount of money there they can fall back on.
Yeah,
Yeah, go on. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I just wanted to mention it because it's bound to get mentioned. Jason Mylan says, "What has reselling given you? It has given Zaheer cramp." So just to mention
Well,
it.
Dr. Review says, are we going to start a sweepstake as to when Zaheer gets cramp again?
No,
I was so feeling your pain. I said to you earlier today, I suffer with it in my calves, in the soles of my feet.
I tried watching it again, Nick, and I just couldn't stop laughing. I don't think I made it to the end. Like, I started watching it from 40 minutes, and it's just painful for me to watch.
Because there was moments where you couldn't speak. I could just see you were like,
and yeah, the wincing.
oh, Jesus.
Honestly, guys, I'm sat here. I'm just literally twiddling my toes the whole time now.
Wow. Yeah, it was painful. Yeah. Painful and equally hilarious. It was just one of those moments.
It was
watching a friend suffer is strangely amusing.
I mean, the wincing and the stuff, it was, I couldn't hide it, and and Rebecca didn't help. She just came down and laughed.
Laughed in your face. It was brilliant.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I know how painful it is, and to get it in a big muscle down the back of your leg. Wow.
Oh gosh, it's sore now. It's actually sore, but yeah, it has given more than cramp. Just to be fair. Fair.
Karen commented earlier. I'm going to try and keep up with these comments today.
Yeah, definitely.
I have my health, a roof over my head, 2 beautiful children, and a husband that loves me. Not a big house or expensive car, but I am very rich, just not financially. Yeah, well, that's being able to look at yourself and read off what is going on that's positive is a real skill, actually, and something I need to do more of.
I think that's a really good point. I think sometimes when people become self-employed or they work for themselves and they have that entrepreneurial spirit, it's almost natural, but you almost want to see how far you can take it. Because there's suddenly no limit. Like when you're working for a company, you're under a wage structure. If you work in retail, you're only ever going to earn X plus certain amount of commission, right? However, I think when you work for yourself and that limit is removed, at first, at least, you can definitely get caught into like the hamster wheel of, oh my God, I can just earn as much as, there's no limit. It just comes down to how much work I want to do. But it's really important to think about whether that's what you want. Now, some of you guys out there will want to make, that lovely American saying that you hear quite often, that 6 figures, the 6 figures salary on eBay or something, which is completely achievable. Forget 6 figures. You can make 7 figures comfortably. There are plenty of companies that make millions, not hundreds of thousands. They make millions on eBay. And when you work for yourself, there is no glass ceiling. There is no limit. It literally comes down to your ingenuity and your ethic, your work ethic, and how much you want to work. However, it's really important to notice that not everybody wants that. Like my initial goal was just to replace my terrible wages at my job. Mm-hmm. And that was enough for me, because I thought, if I'm going to earn crappy money, why not just earn it for myself without all of that, like you said, that management structure above you. And for some people, that's all you need. And I think that comment there by Karen, sums it up, that you don't necessarily need to be earning like hundreds of thousands or millions, and you can be happy in like a regular house with a I say regular in the kindest way, family, and that's all some people want, right? I mean,
exactly. I think some people do forget that a lot of people are, everybody actually has different motivations and different reasons for getting into this game in the first place. There was a really interesting chat on the TAT chat. I won't mention any names, but I was having quite a backwards and forwards discussion about somebody who was all about bigger and better, and that's fine, but he was comparing his ambitions and being very down on people who don't have that ambition. I was trying to explain to him, you can't judge people on that level. Yeah. And we're all at a different point in our career, and we're all after different things, and freedom and independence is worth as much to me as a massive paycheck.
Yeah. And I think that's completely relevant. That's a relevant point you've brought up, because it does just come down to your personal goals. I mean, Daisy May has just commented, actually, goal was to pay off the mortgage, like Nick done that. So can now relax. Now, it actually, just look at yourself. You're mortgage free. You could, if you wanted, take crazy risks and work all the hours and make crazy money. You're actually in a better position than a lot of people to take chances and to make money. But you on purposely don't do those crazy things because you don't. Guess what? You don't want to.
Trying not to.
Yeah.
I've said a number of times. It is I swing from one to the other about really wanting to push myself again and challenge myself, and then going, you know what, I don't have to, and I want to relax and do less. But I find that difficult.
If you suddenly decided that the house you lived in isn't enough, and actually you want to have a swimming pool and a Bentley parked outside, you'd have to up. Just for example, because that's what people think, isn't it? You'd have to up what you're doing, and you'd have to suddenly go and hustle really hard and do those things. But not everyone wants that, And like I said, my initial goal was literally, I was deeply unhappy working for someone and earning crap money. Now, had I been deeply unhappy working for someone but earning £100,000 a year, £100,000 a year, my view may have been different. I may have never typed into the internet, how can I make money from home? I may have never come across reselling videos. I may have never seen your videos and decided on this, because guess what? I would have been deeply unhappy but earning 100 grand a year. But as it was more like a fraction of that.
Exactly.
And I was deeply unhappy earning a fraction of 100 grand a year. So it made me search out that. And my initial goal was to just replace that. And since then we've achieved that. And then now we see that there's potential to get to the other goals. Things that were previously just dreams are now like a distant dream instead, like a closer dream. It's changed.
It is fascinating. So I was just reading in the chat again. Hold on. Forge your own path. I'm sorry, guys, we're behind. I just want to read a few. Sure. Forge your own path. Reselling has given me freedom. As I was saying before, that was the first word that came into my head. Sounds so cliche. So it literally got me out of a hard job, a chef. Yeah, that's hard work.
Yeah.
I now have more time with family and opportunities to go as far as I want. See, another thing that when I was thinking through what it gave me after I wrote down independence and freedom was the ability to do something I enjoy as my job, which means to me, I do work and I work quite hard, but I'm never clock watching. I remember being in jobs where I used to watch the clock and wait for that 5:30 or whatever it was. I haven't done that for 16 years. And it feels, when you're in a job where you clock watch, it's like you are just wishing your life away. And I haven't felt like that for the whole time I've been full-time self-employed. And that's a huge thing for me, to be doing something that I enjoy as a job. And the other one was, going back to what Forge Your Own Path said, was that I got to be at home with Ellen for the entire time she was growing up, before obviously she went to nursery and then on to school. But when we had her full-time at home, both of us were there. And when nobody ever gets that time back. And that's what it gave us initially. And that was a real big deal for us. So I'll never forget that.
Definitely.
Go on.
Yeah, Busy Bee Reseller Adrian and Connie says, I love reselling. It's a great challenge. I'm lucky I have run my own successful AV business since 1996, but I'm now moving to reselling now. So, again, it's reselling can be all things to all men, or women, obviously, but, it is exactly, that's the beauty of it. You can mold it to what you want, and just because something's right for someone, it's not necessarily going to be the same. It's not going to mean the same thing to someone else, is it? Yeah, like my goals and mine, Beck's goals are very different to yours and Andrea's goals, and there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't it's the beauty of it.
Everybody will have different motivations for doing this, and different motivations to keep doing this.
And that's the beauty of it. Like, what's reselling giving you? Like, if you flip this situation on its head, if we both worked in the same job, earning the same wage, we might still have different goals, but we'd both be shackled by the framework of the job we were in.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't have the initial motivation that I had, for example, which was I had this burning desire to get out of employment. I didn't fit. I was that classic square peg in a round hole sort of guy. And that was my initial motivation, was to just get out and find freedom from work.
Yeah.
And not everybody has that. And some people will just be motivated by the money, perhaps, or something else, and which is absolutely fine. I just found some good comments. And now it's jumped. Oh my God. Bear with. Okay, Mr. Saddy123. Reselling gives me leverage to be myself, stroke happy in other areas of my life. Just the process has shown me a new way of life. Wow, that's quite big. That's deep.
Dr. Theodore says reselling got me out of Croydon. Best result ever.
That's your old stomping ground.
Yeah, it is.
Darren,
yeah.
Yeah, it's given me everything. It's helped me beat social anxiety, found a relationship, a sense of pride in myself, and made me some good friends. Well, if that's not a list of, success in a sentence is right there, because you can judge success on different levels.
Yeah.
And if success is personal things, then that's success, as well as, earning millions of pounds is success.
Exactly.
And not, go on.
Well, I mean, for some people, just getting out of their front door will be a huge achievement. And you can, to you and I, that might not seem like a big achievement because you can walk out of your front door without second thought. But for some people, that's a real issue. For some people, it's you and I may negotiate with someone face to face when we come across a deal without any issue. But for some people, that's something they would have had to learn and overcome. It would have been nerve-wracking. Just because it's easy for you to walk up to someone and say, all right, mate, how much for that? 50p? Come on. Yeah, they'll give you 10p for it. Example, it's not what I do, but example that might flow off the tongue. Just like we can sit here on the internet, or just like I can sit here and make a complete fool of myself getting cramp and not be bothered. To some people, that would be humongous. Do you know what I mean? Like, to some people, that would be like, oh my God. So it's really important to appreciate that. I think Darren's comment there is just, epic.
Well, people might be surprised that about the third or fourth thing I wrote down that it's given me is self-confidence. Probably can't read my handwriting.
I can actually.
And that's huge for me. I wasn't in the best place when I started this. I battled with self-esteem and all those things, and it's taken a long time. But through doing something that I love and feeling that in my little way I'm good at it, it's given me that self-confidence. And then the other thing it's given me is YouTube, because I found YouTube through reselling. I got into being a YouTuber through reselling, and YouTube has helped with confidence, with talking to people, with everything on so many levels. And all of that has come from reselling. This is like a little side journey from reselling, the whole YouTube thing to me. It's all related, obviously, because my channel's about reselling. But yeah, the self-confidence thing has all come from taking that big leap from what was a well-paid and decent, stable job, and just taking the plunge. And it's, best thing I ever did.
Okay, I think Krillin has super chatted, by the way.
I can't see it.
Yeah, scroll down the page.
Oh, there's lots of comments I need to go back to.
There's a lot of comments,
Gee whiz. Nick and Z, what regular jobs have you had in the past? Do you want to run through what you had?
Mainly retail. I've been working, I think, at Dixon's for a while. I worked as a cable installer for a while as well, so going to people's houses installing cable, that was interesting. Then I worked for Harrods for quite a while. And then I worked as a rep for a long while. I think that was that was my record. I think 4 years. I think I lasted.
Wow.
That was my record. But that was only because funnily enough, I've lasted 4 years as a rep for Nestle. But the reason was it was the first job in which I felt like I was treated somewhat like a grown-up. Because you were a rep, you only met up and had a team meeting once a month. And for the rest of the month, as long as you were hitting your targets and whatever, you were pretty much not bothered, because it was down to you to make sure you got around your call file and, visited the places you were meant to visit. And then I did the same thing working on behalf of EA Games. So going into like Game and HMV and stuff, I did that for a little bit. And that was my last job. So
interesting. I had a kind of similar path, because a lot of people will have seen, we've talked about this in videos, but I went through retail. So I worked for R Price and then Virgin Records, and then briefly had my own record store before doing the whole reselling thing again later. But then I went on to I worked for as a contractor to an electricity company, going around maintaining substations, which in a weird way was a bit like your rep job. I worked from home with a van, and I was emailed a list of jobs, and I used to have to just email back what I'd done in that day, and it was all up to me when I started, when I finished, and it was all on trust.
Yeah.
First job where I really, like, you kind of felt like a grown up.
Yeah.
I was given enough responsibility that they trusted I'd get up and go to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the last job I had before going full-time employment was with the police force. I was a uniform officer, and then after I left the uniform job, I went to the fingerprint bureau as an office job, and hated that with a passion. So yeah, and then it was reselling all the way. Reselling has meant, this is Natalie, reselling has meant I've never had to spend a penny on childcare. Yeah, we went there as well. Was a natural progression for me from other money-making methods, hoping one day instead of selling tat, it will be houses.
Yeah.
The childcare issue is a huge one. It's so expensive. Question, can you see yourself reselling into your later years? I can see it.
In some form or another, definitely. I mean, or, working for yourself, definitely.
The veranda files, me too, square peg, round hole. Yeah. It's a common theme, I think, with resellers. We kind of stumble into this path because we just don't fit elsewhere.
Chelsea says it's given me a sense of fulfillment. Prior to it, I had worked in finance for over 20 years, but really didn't enjoy it, literally wasting my life. Now I feel I have a purpose and love it. I mean, that's so important. It really is. It's just, I mean, I was watching Prof Sales the other day, and I was just listening to them. They made a video about how to be more profitable as eBay sellers, and I love watching their videos. They're really the coherent and the way they explain things. And one of the nice things that one of the things they often focus on, and I think is really important to focus on, is your most valuable commodity is your time. And it really does come down to how much you value it. And I think one of the things working for myself has started to teach me recently, and this has not happened for a while, but this recently, is to truly value every minute of the day. I mean, to actually understand its value, because once that minute goes, you're not getting it back. So it's so important that you spend it doing something that can put a smile on your face, either now or in the near future.
Yeah, I totally subscribe to that. I think it's hard to explain to people that perhaps haven't done reselling, but you do just get a sense of pride and a sense of, I created this money out of thin air like some crazy magic act, and yeah, that never gets old.
And you've got the time to enjoy it, to actually enjoy it, to be able to do something with it that you enjoy. It's so important.
David Wardle said, I don't want to do reselling full time as I love my main job, but I fancy having a go at it more for the fun of it. Absolutely. And if you're in a job that you love, just enjoy it, make the most of it. And reselling is perfect. And I wanted to go on in a bit to ask some of the part-timers who are in here a few questions, because I still think reselling is the perfect add-on to a job that you are enjoying. I never really found a job. I did enjoy working in the record shops, but I hated the management structure. I hated the thought that I was using my knowledge and skills to earn money mainly for somebody else, because I was getting paid pretty much minimum wage. I hated all of that, but I did enjoy where I was. And
that was the only thing that kept me at Dixon's and Curry's. I was the only one probably in the whole store that had any technical knowledge.
Right.
You can imagine, like, everyone would come to me. They didn't know what component video was or they didn't know any of that. They just wanted to sell stuff. They were just there to sell things. I was the only one that actually, I was the guy that was busy setting up and putting out the new kit whilst all the other salesmen were busy getting sales. But for me, the piddly commission that you would get from selling something wasn't enough to stop me from actually at least get some enjoyment of being there in setting something up and finding out what features it had and how it worked.
You were lucky
Lonnie,
you had a commission basis thing.
oh
We had
yeah,
no commission at all. But people would send customers to me
because
to
you
have a
knew.
discussion about, what out of the current chart would appeal to me if I'm into, I don't know, stereophonics or whatever. And I could reel off a load of things because I knew what everything was, what it all sounded like, and I
Oh,
could
it reminds me of High Fidelity,
yeah, exactly. And
yeah,
I would just, it would be like me chatting to friends in a pub, but
yeah,
it was a skill. And I sold a lot of music to people because they
brought
trusted
into,
what
yeah.
I would say. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lonnie has just commented, for me, reselling is an adventure. I'm excited every time I go out to garage sales or hear the cha-ching. I have fun every day. Can't beat that. Um, well put, Lonnie, completely. And Lonnie does show that. And Steve has said, reselling has given me something to strive for and something I can hopefully show my kids. I was taught the only option was a boss 5 days a week and make the most of the weekend. And that is such an important thing. It's something I can resonate with completely, Steve, is, I often look at the girls and say, even though they're completely disinterested, I know that it's going to affect them because they're just going to know that there is another way. If they're academic, fantastic. My daughters they're smarter than I am by a country mile, and they're doing really well in subjects I wish I could have done well in because they're just good at them. And if that means that they go off into fields for that, great. But at least they'll also know that there is another way.
I think seeing somebody firsthand take that leap to self-employment is a huge thing, because I saw my dad do that would have been the 80s. He set up his own landscape gardening company, and it was quite successful, but it was also incredibly stressful. And he ended up going back to paid employment as a groundsman. But I saw him do that, and I saw him achieve so many things in it. And that
Yeah.
was always there. And it was always felt, I can do this if I wanted to. And
Yeah.
it's huge. So I think you're right. I mean, even if they don't realize it, you will have inspired your kids.
Claire King has an interesting question, a good question, slightly off topic, but does YouTube push you to work harder as you are accountable to everything you say to all your watchers? No.
Not really, no.
No. It's a good question. I mean, we've always had our channel set up as, sharing our journey, really. So we just do what we're going to do, and we just make videos. I mean, like, I was making videos on another channel before reselling, about stuff that I just liked. This is what I'm doing now, so it just felt natural. After seeing Nic, and after Nic inspired me to get into this, I felt almost, the only thing I felt duty bound was to maybe inspire someone else to get into it. I don't mind if someone looks at me and says, wow, I can work for myself, but that guy's doing a terrible job. I'm sure I could do a way better job. I don't mind that, as long as they get into it and thrash the pants out of what I'm doing. I don't mind that. That's great.
Yeah.
But it's the inspiring part that I like.
I don't feel I've got
Yeah.
anything to prove because I'm on YouTube. I only have to, do what I need to do to keep myself comfortable. And that's what I do. But there are plenty of people that follow my store and have a very clear opinion on how crap I am at this.
That's the thing. It's very much about, I think we've both said it a gazillion times, we're sharing our journey.
Yeah.
So that's really it. So, and if you guys can learn something, great. If not, then I hope you're entertained at least.
Quillen's just super chatted another question. Thanks, Quillen. Let me read that one.
Sure.
Nick, you were a cop with a gun. No, I wasn't. And a badge. You arrested people. Yes, I did. Right, I'll explain in a sec. Cops in my country, this is Quillen, would never quit. Their average pay is 200K a year.
Wow.
Okay.
No way.
I was nowhere near that. But
and they're getting paid even less now.
I wasn't, yeah. I wasn't gun trained. There is a section of the police force that bear arms, but they're very few and far between, and they do get paid a heck of a lot more. But essentially it's danger money, isn't it? It's skill based. So I didn't have a gun, and most cops in the police officers in the UK don't carry guns. I used to carry mace and a baton And that was pretty much it. We used to have retractable battens, so they were about like, I don't know, 8 inches, and then you go like that, and it would come out. So it was about 2.5 foot long or something. But yeah, I did arrest people. Had a few arrests before I walked out. But yeah, nowhere near 200K a year or whatever that is in pounds. No.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question. The thing is, it is perceived as a good job, and it's a reliable job, and it can be a job for life, the police force. But I just wasn't happy. That's the only reason I got out. I didn't fit in, didn't enjoy it, and I had this big thing in the back of my head saying I want to work for myself. So I just made it happen. Simon says there, let me just go back to that. My uncle was self-employed, ran his own electrical business, totally inspired me to run my own business, which I've done in one form or another since 2005.
Fantastic. So I think that just shows the power of seeing it done in front of you.
Totally. It just
Really,
makes it seem real and believable and all of that stuff. And I'd certainly got that from my dad. It didn't seem like it was an impossible thing or something I shouldn't go for, because my dad had done it and he did it well. Okay, I wanted to say to all the part-timers or even the full-timers, just going back to purely financial things that reselling has allowed you to buy, because I know a few of the part-timers that I chat to spend their money on fancy holidays, which is amazing. So what things has reselling allowed you to treat yourself with? I'll start, because last year, of course, we had a bit of a windfall on that cartridge, and it allowed us to buy a Mini for Andrea, which we just wouldn't have treated ourselves with if it wasn't for that one-off $5,000 sale.
yeah, I mean that's like that can be like a long list for me, but I'd just keep it short. That reselling, you've touched on this, it allows you to actually play with stuff before you sell it.
Well, yeah.
And I'm surrounded by stuff that I wouldn't normally be able to mess around with. I mean, I've got RC cars that I normally would not feel comfortable buying, and I can play with them because I've got them as inventory before I sell them, and I think that's fantastic.
Gloria says that I am part-time. Reselling has meant I can go on holiday to visit family in Canada later this year. Couldn't do it if I wasn't doing this. I mean, how important is that? It allows you to go and visit your family.
Completely.
Messing about on eBay or wherever you're selling, it allows you to go and see your family. That's huge.
Completely.
I'm just scrolling back because I went down the chat to see Krillin's super chat. Hold on. Simon Mitchell, they say you should work to live, not live to work, but reselling I enjoy, and so I find I live to work these days. Ultimately, I hope reselling will lead to bigger things. Fantastic. Adrian will dig Mr. Diggs deals. I have 2 part-time jobs, only cleaning, but do part-time reselling. But at the moment, it feels like full-time. Clearly putting a lot of work in. Okay.
Quite a few comments actually coming in. Got to choose one. Yeah. Where are you reading down from?
I'm going backwards because I scrolled forwards to read Krillin's super chat, and then I'm going back. I'll go to the end now.
Yeah.
Just read one out if you find one. Adrian says, I don't treat myself. I just put all money back into it to buy bigger, better things to sell. It's one way of expanding the business for sure.
Reselling has bought me a 65-inch TV, says Stephen Bennett. There we go. Made me take my parents to my sister's wedding in Cyprus.
Wow.
So,
I love hearing things like that. I mean, that's life-changing stuff, go to a family wedding that otherwise you wouldn't have the money to do.
George Rosser says it's made us almost debt-free, new car and family days out whenever we want. So that's definitely something that resonates with us, because that's something we're working on right now.
Yeah.
It's finance.
That was our big target that I've banged on about it too much. Yeah. But yeah, to pay off the house it took us 6-7 years, but that was That was our mission with reselling when we had the shop.
When you have some kind of a financial target, whether that be clearing your debt or owning a house, and to be able to achieve that from it, it's just brilliant. Carla says it's brought me freedom and brought me back from the edge of a nervous breakdown where my job was taking me. You know, it's
I hear you. I've been to that point. That's kind of when you know you need to get out, isn't it? When it's you. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Put it that way.
Joan is saying, me too, I'm climbing a debt mountain. I think that's one of the one of the main reasons I think a lot of people will type in, how can I make extra money, or to clear debt. And I think it's such a great way of doing it, and doing it quicker than than just by working.
Hitman asks question, Nick, has Andrea got over her attack on Sunday's chat? She was fine.
Yes.
It was just a little tap on the head with a guitar.
It was a wallop.
No domestic abuse here. Don't go phoning any helplines, people. He's
Guitar
absolutely
attack,
fine.
definitely. And Power Reselling says, I take out my money and trade with it. You can make 50p into 20 quid on eBay and 20 into 150 quid trading.
Wow.
Risky, but yes, you can. I mean, yeah, nowadays it's
I've always fancied dabbling.
or be very careful with the one thing I'll say. I mean, obviously this is not a trading channel or anything, but most of the trading that is promoted to people, like especially on Facebook and stuff, it's not owning the actual stock. They tend to be things that you trade on top of the stock, which means they're heavily leveraged, which also means that yes, you can turn 20 quid into 150 quid, but if the trade goes the other way, because these tend to be spread bets and contracts for difference, you can lose that money as well. So it's not like just a stock where your stock goes to zero and you've just lost all your money. You can lose more than your money. So that's something to be aware of, people. Just to
these are the reasons I've never taken the plunge, because I'll have a conversation with someone like you and you'll say all that and I'll be like,
but there's different stuff. So yeah, there's different stuff, but just be careful. That's all.
I'm happier knowing I have physical stock.
Yeah,
and it exists
rather than just a candle chart.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, right. I've got down to Carla's comment. Let me go beyond.
Power Reselling says, when I turned 18, I turned 2K into 12K in 1 month. Wow.
Nice.
Impressive.
Matt says, Mel and I are reselling as a second business income to help put money into our new house fund. Yep, fantastic. I mean, if you can do reselling on the side and get a house deposit, I mean, that's life-changing stuff, isn't it? We all know how hard it is to get on the ladder these days. Yeah, again, bargain buster there. I work part-time and do reselling part-time, saving everything to get a deposit on my first property.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many.
To have.
Yeah.
Oh, Peter's asking about Andrea's head. Andrea's fine, guys. Absolutely fine. I sent that guitar off to FBA today. I did an FBA shipment. So the weapon's gone. Mind you, I've got 2 more in here. Richard Hale, reselling pays for my house. Could not pay the mortgage just with my full-time job, but now looking for a part-time job so I can do more reselling. Cool. Simon again says, reselling is allowing me the chance to afford to drive to a friend in Stockholm. Oh, I thought you meant to learn to drive there. To drive to a friend in Stockholm, Sweden, hoping to visit Bruges, Amsterdam, Copenhagen on the way. Oh, that sounds so much fun. Busy Bee says, self-employment has allowed me to travel to places like USA, Canada, lots of places in Europe, also own a caravan and to pay off my mortgage. Wow.
That's insane.
That's so cool to hear. Oh, my chat just jumped down. Oh, did you read Steve Green's before? I'm not sure if that's the one.
I did. Okay. Well, unless he's made another comment.
I think I'm caught up. Kevin, I'm just a year away from paying off the mortgage, paid off in less than 10 years. it's an overwhelming feeling when you hand in that last check. We did a big lump sum to pay it off at the end, and I was wandering around like I was 10 foot tall when I did that.
French Fancy says reselling feeds my shopping addiction, and then below that, Power Reselling says Nick is the true rock star. Instead of smashing his guitar on the floor, he smashes it over Andrea's head. Rock on. Oh, you're not going to live that down, Nick.
Oh dear.
I think the fact that Andrea was laughing for so long afterwards.
Oh, she was giggling about that for ages. It's not what you expect in an evening.
No, not really. No, not to have a guitar hero.
A guitar by your husband live on the internet.
No.
Okay. Oh, Hitman. Nick, I finally sold the Lynx aftershave after 8 months. I picked it up because of one of your videos. Wow, not a fast seller, that one then. Wow.
They're not all as desirable. Like with anything, there are things that are super popular and things that are not as popular within each niche, isn't there? So
totally. Oh, Gary's in. Hi there. He says, good evening. Fashionably late. 2 auctions. 8 fish and chips on the seafront at Seaton. Oh, it's living the life.
There you go. That's exactly what reselling can give you.
Yeah. Oh, Seaton's a great place. I love Devon. Okay, how are we doing for time? Oh, we're good. Tracy, hearing all of you, I truly must be doing something wrong. I can barely buy groceries. Well, I don't know what to say. Take a look at maybe what you're selling or how you're selling it, and yeah, maybe change a few things.
Yeah.
Well, someone's talking about the ghost that Andrea saw. A lot of people have commented on that in the stream. There was like an orb that went across here somewhere.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I did see. Well, I didn't see it, but like, I think I saw someone in the chat. I think Dave Rowland said he watched it back or something, and he saw it. But
yeah, a number of people have been watching it back. I'm a skeptic. It's just it's just dust in the light. But anyway.
I mean, also just to add to Tracy's comment about doing something wrong, don't again, it's very important not to like just compare directly what you're hearing and seeing. Take it as motivation or inspiration, that these things can be achieved. I mean, there are things that have been mentioned here that I would absolutely love to achieve, but we're nowhere near it. We're still working on our debt mountain from our old days. We're not anywhere near paying our last mortgage payment. I'd love to do that. I'd love to go on a nice luxury holiday, but rather than getting disheartened by it, try to take it as motivation and take solace in the fact that people are achieving those things by working for themselves, and that's how I try to look at things. I'm not saying that you don't, but just that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, well said. And I think also, just touching on that, I doubt any of us are doing anything different to you, so it's just perhaps tweaking a few little things.
Yeah.
Most people in the chat here, we're all doing the same things. We're picking up secondhand tat and flipping it in one form or another. You just maybe need to tweak what you're doing somehow, but it is achievable. So yeah, definitely take the positive out of it. All right, let me scroll to the end. I'm trying to see if I had anything else. I can't read my own writing. Oh yeah, done that.
Carla has offered to help. Says Tracy, if we can be of any help, glad to try. That's the beauty of the community. There's so much information out there, so many different things that you can try and see what sits with you, right?
Yeah.
What one person does may not resonate with you, and you may not get what that person's doing, but you might see someone else in the Facebook groups or on YouTube that you can resonate with and that does sit right with you and you can learn from. So
totally. Mr. Sadie touches on what Tracy said. He says, Tracy, trust me, it's not all roses. I would assume each of us have struggled at one time or another, but hang on in there. Absolutely. And it is always well worth saying that I know this is a positive chat. we have, in our journey, we've had peaks and we've had horrific troughs where things have gone terribly. Only recently, when we set up the clothing shop, we pretty much lost everything that we had, financially wise. We didn't risk the house or anything, but we lost all of our savings on that venture and didn't get any of it back. But we've already replaced all of that money and we've got ourselves back on our feet. But it is all self-employment. There's an element of risk, and it's not all roses. So I totally agree. But you have to focus on the positives to keep going.
Definitely. Darren says, I saw a ghost in Zaheer's video, started wailing, staring at the ceiling, then walking around holding his backside, saying how much he was in pain. Was spooky. Yeah, I mean, definitely, that was a ghost. Yes.
That was a classic moment.
Kian Harros says, how much do you recommend investing to start reselling? The word there you've used is right, investing. And just like with investing, the thing that everyone always says is only put in what you can afford to lose, I suppose. So if put in what you can afford to put in, with reselling, the risk is much less, is less strong. So you can pretty much tell now with your phone and things like that whether what you're looking to buy is undervalued or not. So just go out there and look for something that's undervalued. That's what you've got to do. So find something that is being sold for less than it is worth online, and start from that.
And do you remember when eBay were advertising with some random figure they'd plucked from the air about how much stuff we all have in our house that we're not using?
Oh yeah, the average house is like $4,000 or something.
Yeah, whether that's believable or not, who knows? But I'll guarantee that in your house, I can't remember who said the comment, but in your house, there's probably a good £300, £400, £500 worth of stuff that you probably aren't using and don't need. So there's your initial investment. Just cash that stuff in, and obviously it's yours, so you wouldn't need to register as a business necessarily to sell that on, and then you can invest that as a business investment in stock to resell as a business. It's a good place to start anyway. Hitman UK reselling has turned me into the go-to guy when it comes to wrapping Christmas presents. Yeah, the skills you learn, eh?
Completely. Simon Mitchell says reselling has helped a lot. In 2014, I lost a massive part of my business, my money, my house, and ultimately the wife too. Now I'm rebuilding my life, and reselling has been my lifeline, says Simon. Wow.
Thanks for sharing that, Simon. That's huge. Simon's made some videos as well. I think it's that Simon, isn't it? Who's done a few reselling videos. So click through Simon's link there. Yeah. I've probably got the wrong person now, but I'm sure that is the Simon who's done a few videos. Tell me if I'm wrong, Simon.
No, you're right. He has. So I mean, it's fantastic that it's actually working for you. But it's just
that says it all though about self-employment. There are no guarantees. That's one thing I would say to anyone taking this route. Yeah.
But it shows that obviously he was in business beforehand, so he had that resilience to pretty much dust yourself off and start all over again, which is got to be such a daunting thing to face. But yeah, wow, that's inspirational.
It's fascinating actually that we purposely set out to have a positive discussion about reselling, yet you can't help but talk about the flip side, because it becomes so unbalanced, doesn't it? If you just talk about the positives about working for yourself or running a business, it is way too one-sided, and you have to throw caution in there with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Simon's confirmed it is me. Thanks, Nick, for the mention. Yeah.
No worries.
My other half. Oh no, go on.
I was just going to read Tracy, who started us on this thread, said that did come off pretty depressing. Sorry. Thank you, everybody. That's why I love this group. You keep us laughing and on a positive path. Well, hopefully there'll be something in some of that advice that you can take forward, and it will help you out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Simon says it is me. Yeah.
Karin just says my other half did have to pick now to groom the dog. Okay. Lol. I've been listening. It's motivating me to get listing again. Thanks. Well, getting listing again tomorrow. Thanks. So at least it's motivated Karen, which is good.
Airplane says that figure of 4,000. I don't know if that was the figure, but you probably all saw the adverts. That figure of 4,000 must be absolute tripe. As I cleared my late uncle's house recently, and he had only 2 items of any value and a load of junk. Perhaps your uncle had sold all his good stuff off. Peter Ray, I've learned to have more confidence on what I do, especially when last August when I lost my job. I have you all for helping me to get, sorry, I'm not reading that very well, to get on and for what I need to do. I think he's saying that the community has helped him get past that. I know Peter's trying to get work still. I don't know how that's gone. He was going to interviews recently.
Ryan says reselling has given me a lifetime supply of humorous t-shirts or humorous shirts.
Okay.
Mir Cameron Ali says reselling has given me the house to own. That is one of the biggest achievements. Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
Alia says, I was employed whilst reselling. Now I don't have a job, and reselling has been my only lifeline to fund my driving and hopefully get a license to improve my employment. There we go.
Yep. Forward thinking for you. Okay. Well, we're almost on the hour. Thank you so much for the comments. We've had a deluge of comments, and thanks for sharing all of the things that reselling has given you and some of the personal stories that you shared there. Thank you so much for that.
Definitely. Dr. Duru says that's because Ziad got to your uncle's first and nicked the lot. That's just unnecessary. I'm guessing that's to do with the house clearance, the legitimate house clearance that we were at last year now.
It's funny how these things stick.
Yeah. I mean,
Nick steals old man's shoes comes up now.
Yeah, that's it as well. Yep.
Beth just said, question, my other half keeps getting tat but not listing a lot. How can I encourage him to list? That's a good question.
Listing is the important part. It's difficult.
You could try and set up you can bring one item in the house once one item leaves sort of scenario, but how you police that, I don't know. Or just start smuggling it in.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the night, he'll be creeping in with crates full of tat. Oh, Peter says he's going to the 3rd interview of the Sainsbury's Thursday afternoon.
Ooh.
So you've got to the 3rd interview. That's positive in itself, mate.
Fantastic.
We will be thinking of you and wishing you all the best.
Yep. A lot of good luck's coming in. Yeah.
Yeah, drop me a message, Peter. Okay, well, we will wrap this one up. Thank you so much for joining us. We've still got 162 people in. We'll be back on Sunday. Andrea and I, Zaheer will be live Friday with Beck.
Yep.
I have a guest chat lined up for Thursday. Not going to share who it is. You're welcome to guess now, and I will say if you get it right, I'll let you know. And just see what people guess, just for a minute before we go.
Let's see who people guess. Yeah.
I don't think anyone would guess.
No.
Any
clues?
I haven't told. Did I tell you it?
I don't know either. I don't know. No.
Yeah, as Adam says, lick the like. I like the lick button.
Clint Eastwood's a good one.
Oh, I wish. It's not Lonnie.
No, it's not me either.
It's not Zaheer. No.
Craigslist, Carla.
Craigslist, no, it's not Pete. It's not Carla. So you won't know. The head of Hyundai. Yes, you guessed it, Darren.
The head of Hyundai.
Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin,
Dalai Lama.
Oh, you're thinking
GFP, is it Golden Finger Picker?
No.
Oh.
Carla would be fab. It would be, but it's not Carla this week. Chuckle Brothers, no. Joan Glenn Martin, is it me? I don't think so. Stephen Hawking. See, nobody knows. Right. The CEO of eBay. That would be epic. Imagine that. I would love that.
Oh, there's a good one. Madonna.
What?
Why would it be Madonna? But yeah, I like that one. Theresa May.
Resale killers. No, nobody get it. Okay. Sam Fox. Elvis. Right. No. Tune in on a Thursday and you'll find out for yourselves. Andrea's bodyguard. Okay. Right. Thanks so much, Zaheer. Link to Zaheer's channels below. Check that out if you haven't already. And we'll see you soon on Thursday for the mystery guest. They're still coming in.
Yeah. Elon Musk, Depeche Mode. Lord Lucan, that's a good one. Lord Lucan. That would be a turn up for the book.
You're all wrong. Yeah. And on that note, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys. See you, mate.